sure they all hook up. Oh yeah, they're hooking up again. 2 for 2. We only missed out on one this morning. Yeah, that was trippy. There was 2 David Ikes on the screen and 4 voices, and he's like, "This has never happened before." He said, "It's happened on this show before." Looks like we're having a problem with YouTube. Oh, there it goes. Okay, we're good. Oh yeah, people coming in. All right, let me just play the intro real quick and let people come in. Time to come in. Be right back. What's happening, everybody? We got the beautiful, beloved, brave Yvania's in the house, and we had a big day yesterday, the 13th. Last month, I told Morgan, I was like, because I'm not much on dates and stuff, but I said, you know what? I remember that 2017, 18, 19, and 20, January 11th was a huge day, right? And she said, well, I don't know about that, but I know this time it's going to be January 13th. And of course, we didn't even know that when we rescheduled David Icke, it was on an eclipse. And then Sandra Walter came on and Marie Batchelor was on. So all of that powerful stuff was happening, as a reflection of what was happening, in the macro. And then I came out of the last show and I looked on my phone and you put up a post. I got a huge response too, that you had something to disclose. The disclosure was coming out. So yeah, you made reference to me being nervous at the beginning of the show with David Icke before all that stuff happened. And yeah, so now it's your turn to be nervous. No, I'm just kidding. But I know because of past experience, that well, your stuff is solid. It really is. It's solid, and you explain it so well. I'm assuming that you must have got picked up on something with the topic disclosure. Was it something in particular? Or do you just decide you wanted to fan the flames of awareness?
Yeah, it's all of that. And
Mm.
I think the frequency that's here, right, is pushing us so far that you can't contain it any longer. So there's things that I think that a lot of us know intimately, and we don't share them because it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like the right time. And also the other thing is we're not ready. We're really not ready to hear them or feel them within our body, so we tend to enjoy distracting ourselves more so than actually listening to ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, there was a lot of that going on up until the 6th, and even after, really. And I'm not picking on anyone in particular at all, and I was doing it too. Like I was going to the news, and I was checking on what is it called? Oh God, Newsmax and OAN and uh, Drudge Report and and Facebook News headlines. like what's happening next, what's it going to be? And then I finally had to go, wait a minute, stop, you
Yeah.
know? And then I just talked about this in the last show and with you a little bit beforehand, but there had been this buildup of, you know, you've got, how do I say this? To move away from that, that seduction of the, of the script and the narratives, and because to play with that, you've got to play with the same energy. You know what I mean? I mean, that's been basically the way we've done it. But like today, so when I woke up today, after this great day yesterday, and I wake up, and I only slept like just a few hours, like 4 hours, and then our ability to broadcast on Facebook was wiped out, which is 11 of our 14 platforms, and all of the 2,500 shows were wiped out. And I just started to go into it, and I thought, oh no, not that. So let's do what I said on the last show, what I was explaining to you. I just went in the field, worked with the energy. And again, I don't know, I can't prove if I had any influence on, it all came back, you know, but I certainly am, I'm, I feel that's what happened. But it wasn't just me, it was many people. That was just one vehicle of the energetic transformation, an opportunity for energetic transformation that many people joined in consciously or not. But anyway, so the point being that what I observed was a lot of us, if not all of us, kind of sitting on pins and needles, waiting to see what was coming versus the inverse of that.
Mm.
It's kind of what I'm getting at, what I'm learning, and if I'm getting there, I'm sure other people must be as well. I don't know if that's related to what you're talking about, but it sounds like it is.
Yeah, I love those 2 points. I think everybody has this need, this want to know what's happening next, what's going on, in all arenas, whether it's out there or whether it's in the spiritual arena, whatever. We have this, what's going on? We have to check in, check out with everyone to see what's going on. And then, the other thing you said about that checking, to see what's going on, and then taking care of your own field. See, when you choose you, every time you are choosing life. But not only that, you are choosing your own life force itself. And so to understand that, you have to really know yourself. And part of the problem here, if you'd like to say there's a problem, is that we really don't know ourselves. Consciousness that doesn't know itself is powerless, basically. And we've reached this time where I certainly feel it building to a stage where I can't contain what I came here to do, because this is my life's work, to be inserted in this time with my own sharing and knowing of what's happening. And so I felt this huge anger surge again. It's the second really big one that I've felt in the last few months. And it's pushing and really starting to happen. And it's starting to get real. And so I think it's a perfect time to introduce some of these concepts for us to listen to, feel into. If you're not feeling it, just forget it. The body will reject it anyway. So how to do disclosure in Yvania style, I guess, would be sort of story style, and I don't know where to start, because it's like the beginning is the end and the end is the beginning. So if I start by just inviting us to just imagine that we are this huge golden sun, bright with white, huge golden sun in this black background, teeming with life force, just absolutely teeming with life force. And out of that sun comes a beautiful golden comet streaming across the blackness. And if you can pinch open that vision of that comet and just really look into it, the nose is going forward, it's moving. You can feel the life force in it. You can see particles, gold particles. You can see stars, star systems, Milky Ways, nebulas, spirals, all of it, a teeming life force that is pure love. It's not the emotion of love or the emotion. It's the very life force itself of that comet, that universe, that entire universe. And that is you, all of it. Every single star system, planet, particle is you. Now, if we come just to that realization right there and just let it sit in the body, and I'll bring us back down into the body and just explain a little bit about the dark, because it's very real, it is very powerful, and it is time for this conversation to come to another level. Now, from my own, that's how I came out into being Todd. So I've just taken you through my own birth into this expression and all expressions, right? And so in my own knowing and remembering, there was an echo in response to that life force, and it caused an event. And through that event, a part of me and a part of you had to move out, break away, break off, to experience that desire, because that life force is teeming with desire and infinite possibility. It's like, it's this force is something incredible, right? It's absolutely incredible. So here this darkness goes from the response to this echoing thing, because this force of nature is always seeking balance, right? So we have these aspects, part of our soul, part of us, that are extremely powerful in, you could say, a negative way. Polarity doesn't just exist on this plane. Polarity exists everywhere in some ratio, shape, or form, in my own experience, right? So the thing with polarity is how we interpret it, how we taint it, really, how we look at it itself. So it's not that it's a bad thing, it's just how we view it, right? So here we've got these parts, and I think 2 years ago we had this conversation, and I was showing how we had these black sources and we had these blue sources, and down the middle was gold source, and how they all created, right? So that's all you, all of it. It's all me and it's all you, because this is all stacked. So you're in my universe, I'm in your universe, and we are stacked and intimately connected within that, right? So far that I can't see and tell who's the difference between you and I, because we are just from that pure love force, all of us. But in your universe and in our universe, we created all these different streams of sources, right? Powering our realities. Some of us, that rogue darkness that spreads like a virus is no different to that rogue light, extreme positive that spreads like a virus, and it can cause harm too, right? And while we're on that note, high frequency doesn't mean high frequency positive only. High frequency is all. It's all. So when we talk about high frequency and raising our frequency, we're talking about raising our frequency back into our original pure love state. And it's not the fluffy love, and that's not going to save us. We have to get back to our original source frequency, because that frequency by its own nature purifies and calls everything back unto itself, right? So our dark knows this and is quite happy doing what it does. It doesn't give two flying hoots whether it causes harm or not. It's not in its game plan, right? And that's, when you look from another view, that's okay. But when you look on the ground where we are in our human bodies, it is a problem, right? We're going to have to meet ourselves head on with every single thing that we have created. And we have created so many things. We've created technologies that we've come so far away from organic that they are completely synthetic. We've created synthetic and organic. We've created all sorts of things, and there's nothing and nowhere that we haven't been or touched. So when we tap into, let's say, Pleiadians, we tap into Arcturians, we tap into Lyrans, you are tapping into yourself in another frequency, in another time-space reality, within a set of coordinates that existed and still exist elsewhere. We are multi-dimensional, and right now that multi-dimensionality is really coming to the forefront. So everything we're pulling in from us. It's all you, right? And some of you, I know this sounds funny, right? But it's just all you in different ways, right?
Right.
When some of you would like to see that this timeline goes a certain way and not another way. And so we can be influencing our own selves for failure, for our own benefit in another space. Right. So I've always been very, very careful when listening to other selves, galactics, and have learnt over the years to trust only that which is in here right now. Right. And for me, that means I only take guidance from what I call my future self, which is within me, because that me and where we're headed on our trajectory, the me that's here, has that original pure love infinity spark that we lost, watered down, filtered so terribly. So we are attracted to our own self, right? It's like moths to a flame, because it's this purity that has come into this body now. We created this body. Nobody else created this body. We did, right? We agreed with ourselves. We created this body. We did everything. So taking responsibility for everything we did. Now, how does that help when you've got this rogue, evil, totally against our own nature self? Because there's going to come a time, which is coming fast. Shit is going to hit the fan, and you can feel it starting. So when the shit hits the fan, and we really we're thinking, okay, I'm safe, there's going to be another reality that opens up that is going to lift me there, or I'm going to save myself from a galactic point of view, right? Mm-hmm. It's not going to happen that way. And there will be many lives that will be lost during this time, right? So even though we can't lose our lives, we know that, but do we really know it? So it's time to come to peace within the body about death, what you think death means for you, right? And this is a very difficult topic because it's one of our fears, one of our greatest fears. And it's, so I'll leave that there, but it's part of this experience that we're coming into, right? The ability to, some of us have experienced those dark aspects that have come through and asked for forgiveness, and we've integrated them within ourselves, and it's a beautiful thing. And there's other aspects that don't want to be integrated, and in a certain timeline that still happens, and everybody caught up in that system spirals out with it. It plays out, and then a new births from that, right? So right now we have this extreme negative timeline, an extreme positive timeline, meeting in the middle, creating this 0 point field, right?
Yeah.
Through that 0 point field neutrality, we come through it, right? We come through and we create another time-space reality. It's like a timeline, but it's more fluid as such, because the way we create is pulling everything only from this now moment around us, pulling everything that we are into ourself and moving into it and forward with it. So you can't really predict what's going to happen next because you're moving into it in every minute, you know. So when there's a lot of stuff about galactics and all that kind of thing, and in the past I've witnessed some pretty incredible things that I don't share with anybody, because at the time I thought they would be a bit far out. But rather than looking to the skies, I would be looking underneath, because there's a lot going on of underneath this ground.
I agree.
A lot of activity there. And while the distraction is out and up there, it's actually down there. And there's a lot of, I've seen some incredible things come out of the ocean and not fly off out into the atmosphere at all, but just come up and then go back down, right? So keep that in mind, because that we always have an agenda. We know ourselves better. We know what I mean. We know ourselves. We know how to distract us. We know what interests us. We observe ourselves from outside, and we've been doing that for a long time, and being a part of that original spark, know exactly the way that we flow, the way that we operate, the move that we're going to make next. But what we don't know is that our spontaneous nature, which is so pure, is unable to predict, and our frequency is that pure that it purifies out everything that does harm and has that sort of agenda to overtake. So I guess the news is positive, because I've come from that place that we moved in through, right? And come back to say there is the possibilities that we could go off in many different directions, and some of us will. But if you stay in the center and you stay choosing you always take your guidance from inside and never outside, and you just keep doing the next thing in front of you to do. And there's going to be a lot of quick decisions made on the fly that are just going to come up suddenly, that you're just going to have to be in that space where you know exactly what to do for you and your family and everyone you love. That is going to move you where you need to go to keep you safe, right? Does any of that make sense?
It all makes sense. It all makes almost too much sense.
It's all us. It's all.
Oh yeah.
And
I
we
love
know,
that.
right? It's like, this is disclosure, but you have to know that it's not just some of it and whatever. It's all of it. Absolutely every single bit of it. And it's so easy to want to say, you know, I talk about that which is not me, that which is me. And everything's a mirror until it isn't. Because when you know you, where you are now, where you're moving to, you know what you are not now because you are seeing it in your field. That's not who I am now.
Yeah.
I move with who I am now. So that's what I mean when I say that. It's
No, I
not
get you.
because
Yeah.
you're not that anymore.
No.
Yeah.
And I love the way you use the word spontaneous as if not the, but you know, like a base component of our essence, right? I
Hmm.
mean, like you know, you know, you ask the question, and the answer is I don't know. I won't know till we get there. Like, what would you do if this happened? What would you do? Or you know, the survivalist. You know, some of these videos I see, buy 26 weeks of food that won't perish for 25 years. Like,
Well, you do what
what?
you feel to
Yeah,
do.
yeah, you
You get
do.
a message in your
Yeah,
body that says start to stop food, grow your
yeah,
own food. I got that
yeah,
message, and I just
yeah,
went with it because that came
right,
very, very clearly.
right.
Someone asked a question, safe from question mark.
What?
Safe, safe from the agenda of what's going on, and that is to go that synthetic route again.
Hmm. Well, I think about you know, you mentioned David Icke before we came on, and you know, I've watched a lot of his material over the years, and I'm pretty, you know, thorough with that in terms of, you know, some of the research I've done over the years, and even with an objective viewpoint, if I had to pre the show yesterday paint a picture of what the energy of David Icke was, I think I would have been pretty accurate, but I wouldn't have been as accurate as after it occurred because the majority of that energy, as I perceived it, would have been about, as he says, the names, the dates, the times, the events, you know, the story.
Mm.
But in talking with him, you know, the way that he was explaining, well, I am everything that was, is, and will be. Period. You know, and then when this one's over, on to the next one, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there was a mix of, you know, I know why I'm here, like you said, like you know about your sharing. Like, I know why I'm here. This is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it in this present state. As you know, we've all are learning that things come to us when we're in that space of spontaneous. You know, to me, you can't be spontaneous if you're not present. Or let's put it this way: you're going to get more creation potential achieved the more present you are. So the greater the effect of the spontaneity.
Yeah.
Spontaneity thing is huge, and I don't mean that just in the way of creation, but like even the example you gave of the growing food or buying food, right? You know, this whole thing with what's going to happen, like you were saying, what's going to happen is painting. It's almost like painting us in a corner when we
Yeah.
do that, as
Yeah.
opposed to just saying, stay open. I
Yeah.
just went through a little one right now. Just recently, I went through a little one because I got these signs. You're supposed to go here. Now, if you ask me now, I don't know. I got three signs. I got a lot of synchronicities and coincidences, and they may have all been accurate. But did my energy change? Did my field of potential change? Did something change? Did my frequency change? I mean, we just can't attach.
In every moment, it changes. Every
Yeah,
moment. And, you know, I've been down that timeline where that synthetic agenda is realized.
hmm,
We've been down there, and it's to take the infinite out of
yeah,
us. That
yeah,
gold, it is all about our gold. It's joyful, it's innocent, it's pure, it's infinite. and put that into something synthetic to power that, you know.
Yeah.
And that's a very sad state of existence. And it's still within the trappings of that system, that program, that it's just not a nice, it's not a nice space to be in. You know, I like to leave that frequency, that timeline exactly where it is. And, you know, until it collapses, and we will collapse that when we come in to our own frequency again. We're nowhere near where we need to be. But as we continue to come closer to our frequency, the other side matches that frequency too. So we're going to be going continuously up together, right?
Yeah.
And when we talk about, you know, do whatever you can to stay positive, I'd like to just offer something that is, for me, more realistic for those of us that are in the body and understand that polarity isn't really a bad thing. When we feel anger, when we feel anything intense like that, it comes with such a force that when we reach that point where we have reached that top of anger, it goes through your body with such force that it moves you into action. It moves you into a state of frequency that is unmovable, because you have this purity grounding you. And when you say no from that state, everything just backs right off. I've gotten to that point before where I've been that angry at something that was so wrong. And out of my belly just came this huge voice, just no. And the look on that person's face, you know, dropped what they had that was threatening to be taken off me, right? And just stood back and left. I've experienced that many times. It's a firmness, it's a knowingness, and it's so powerful. So it not only moves you into that spontaneous response, right, to that, but it puts you in that, you're sovereign in that state. So all the emotions, if you took that emotion and then you reacted and you went into, I need to harm, I'm going to come back at you with that same energy. That's not what I'm talking about. That's the other side of that coin. So you can go either way, and it's a choice. So it's okay to feel all the range of emotions. In fact, it's normal. It's normal to feel sad sometimes. It's normal to feel angry sometimes. It's normal to feel happy sometimes. It's normal to feel joyful. You know, it's not normal to expect that you're going to feel joyful 100% of the time, that you're going to be in bliss all the time, because we're not having that experience here. We live in polarity everywhere. That's just how it is. So the more we come to be friends and with our emotions and get to know ourselves through our emotions and how we are responding to them rather than reacting, we're going to be able to ride this with much more ease and be able to get to that point where you're thinking, okay, I'm feeling an anger now. It's building, it's building, it's building. It's getting to the point where I've come to this stage now where it's going to come through as this force of nature that is going to move me where I need to be with a firm no. And that's how we change this around. That's how we move through this. So you come to the 0 point neutrality spot and you move through it in that moment.
Yeah, another thing too, this is really helpful what you're saying for people, because for all of us, because you know, first of all, you know, there's so many fine lines, but like these heavy emotions, well, we just use anger. Uh, we're light workers. So we say, like you said, it's not that fluffy love and light thing, because the anger starts to come, even though it's from us. We know this, right? And we can start to resist it. You know,
Yeah.
people use the term spiritual bypass, and it's got so many different connotations. But like, to me, that's, well, you're just delaying it, basically.
You are.
But what I
Part
like
of
about
that
what I
program.
like about what you said was, we've all we've all been there. Something happens. Usually it builds, right? That's when the real big ones come. It builds and builds, and you get really angry, and you said, quote unquote, you want to do harm. Well, I mean, let's be frank about it. We've been there, right? And we can do a pretty good job of that. And some can get to the point of horrific, you know. But what I got from you was, the same process starts, the volcano starts to erupt, but instead of it going into that old pattern that feeds what we're trying to transform, you actually use it as a, almost like a catalyst,
Oh yeah.
right?
It is.
For transformation,
Mm.
you
Yeah.
know, which is rooted in that no, that makes the other person and everything else back up.
Exactly. And can you imagine a whole population feeling that and not reacting and retaliating and meeting that, but actually standing in that power and
Yeah.
just saying no, you know, it's so much more powerful than um, protesting
Yeah. That's
or,
another thing. I
or
don't know if you saw that part yesterday with David Icke, when and I said to him, because he was saying the same thing, because I said, what can we do? Like, what's the best thing we can do? And, and it was all right there, like what you're talking about, which we can put a lot of words to, but it's just that point of saying, sovereignty. Enough is enough. I'm gonna, like you said, you rely on what comes from here, right? And and then I said, like, so that even is, more powerful than marching or
yeah,
boycotting or protesting. And he said, well, that's really a symbol of that declaration of sovereignty,
yeah,
and that, which we've heard before, but it doesn't hurt to hear it again, which is basically, as cliche as it sounds, we change the external by changing the internal,
yeah. And
and
if we approach this is another scenario timelines that we've been down before, where we've gotten so carried away with, I surrender and I put it in higher hands. All is going to work out, and
yeah,
I'm protected, and I'm all this. And guess what? It doesn't end well.
yeah,
Okay. When you put it in higher hands, you created you.
yeah,
We are the creators of ourselves. You are that. It's nothing to do with God. We that created this body gave ourselves the concept of God, the creator, so that we could keep ourselves trapped in this.
yeah,
We're not silly how we did it. So getting rid of that, don't put it in higher hands, put it in your hands,
yeah,
because they're the highest hands you can put them in, and put them in the highest hands from that state of pureness that is in you, in every single human being. We have that within us, and that is what is more than gold. It's everything. That
mm,
is what gets us through. So moving out of all of these systems, these spiritual doctrines and religious things and all of that, out of belief and faith and trust, move into knowing who you are and what you are.
mm,
And what you are in that moment is what you are, right? So it's not that you have trust in yourself, because, does the sun have trust in itself that it's going to shine?
mm,
You just know, you just do, you are, right?
mm.
So, yeah, it's moving out of all of that stuff and moving into you and just choosing you continuously, choosing you. And if everyone just chooses you,
Yeah.
we will be right. We'll be able to ride this out a lot more smoothly.
I love what you said too about the. I guess it's at a certain level, it's a metaphor. but just talking about the what do you call it, the timeline or whatever, that you've seen the end result or the outcome, and other people have talked about this, and we can even say that the human species has collectively done this. Atlantis, Lemuria, where technology is so far out ahead of consciousness that it doesn't end well. But you said, I always feel funny using the word they now, but they want the gold that we are, that's in us, right? The joy, the innocence. And if you think about it, okay, it's interesting because I just got this as I'm listening to you. So these other dimensions we play in, what do they run on? They run on that gold.
That's
All
right.
right. So, and then if you look at even like the narrative of the Anunnaki, right? Why did they come here? They were looking for gold. Now I'm saying it as a metaphor. It may have been literal. I don't know. But so if that's the case, if it works that way in the cleaner dimensions, let's put it that way, and it works that way in this heavy illusionary dimension, how do you think it works for us? Like if you're basically saying go in and find your own gold, and I know again that sounds a little cliche, but you're talking some meat and potatoes, some nuts and bolts here. You're
Yeah.
talking about like no, and it's not just words.
This is not
It's not,
words.
and
This is a
so
force. This is a
yeah,
force of
yeah,
nature
yeah.
that is so powerful, that is within every one of us. It's not a fluffy thing. It's
Mm-mm.
huge. It's a
No,
huge force. It's very powerful. And
it's like the
it,
Kali energy.
yeah,
You
it is.
know,
And it
it
does
is.
no harm either, right?
No,
But
it just doesn't
what it
f
will do,
around.
yeah, if it just will purify out
Yeah.
everything that does harm. So in order to do that, it just eradicates everything that clings on. So instead of digging around for what's wrong with you, there's nothing wrong with you.
Mm-hmm.
Just choose you, be in your body. Um, get rid of the concept of, it's all a dream and it's all an illusion. Well, you're right here in this body right now, right now. And the only illusion is the illusion that you don't know who you are. That's the illusion, right? So just come into the body, allow everything to be as it is without going and digging and doing the old way where we used to do all that shadow work and stuff in that system that kept us. And then we went into the other side where it's not okay to have all these dark shadows and feel that way. Now I have to be this guru that meditates all day and is always smiling, always sitting in bliss and joy. And that is the bar where you need to be. And how many people have contacted all of us over the years that we've been working with other people and asked, how do I reach this state of bliss and joy? And if you've been serving others, then you would be honest and say, it's not attainable in that way. It's not meant to be. You're in
Mm-hmm.
this body in polarity and you're experiencing a range of emotions. And it's okay. Ones that are unhealthy and cause harm need to be addressed by noticing within yourself when you're reacting, when it's causing harm to yourself and others. It's a problem. So yes, get help for that. Get assistance for that if you can't help yourself, which we're moved into that age where it is just all about self and listening to self.
Yeah.
Turn the distractions off, come into self. And it's not a bad thing to look at the news and see what's going on. It's what you do with that. Do you regurgitate it? Do you add to it?
Mm-hmm.
What's that inspiring you to do? If it's inspiring something that's going to cause harm in a conversation that's going to feel prickly and uncomfortable and harm another, that's a problem too. Are you going to use that distraction, that knowledge, to now inspire you to create
Yeah.
something that feels good to put
Yeah.
out there?
Well,
Then
it's
that,
no different than the anger thing, right? Like if you look at the anger thing you were talking about, well, you first started the show, you said, we distract ourselves, basically, is what you said, right? And so, like, you look at the anger thing that you were saying earlier. If you think about it, and I know it's a little different example, but it's the same energetic trajectory. So if something happens, I get angry and I decide to go to the old way, and go inflict harm, probably going to be on what I perceived as the originator of whatever, you know. It could be projection on my loved ones. It could be, someone else. But that really is, especially in these energies, that's a distraction for myself, because I'm not dealing with myself. I'm bypassing myself and I'm putting that shit back out there. But on
Yeah.
the other hand, on the other hand, and it can be, yeah, I can go in and look at what's out there, the headlines or whatever the case is. I still have, there's not just one way to deal with that.
No, it's what
Right?
you're going to do in that moment.
Yeah.
And if somebody out there is attacking you or making you feel in your body really uncomfortable and unsafe, and you say, where is this within me? I need to clean this out. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it could be that might be the answer in that moment, but more so in that moment, you would come and say, this is making me feel really uncomfortable, right? There's that energy building. It's really making me feel uncomfortable. No, go away. Because that's harmful energy. Not if somebody's bagging you out or just gossiping or whatever. That's fine. What you choose to do with that in that moment is up to you. Do you choose to respond by replying or not replying, whatever. But I'm talking about a harmful energy that's
Mm-hmm.
coming towards you and how you respond to that. That is called sovereignty. How you respond in that moment
Mm-hmm.
from that space. That is sovereignty. It's okay to say no. It's okay to, we're moving out of that field where we're always digging. If we go forward another year and where there's sort of this fluid pathway of systems collapsing and what sort of chaos we're in, and we're like, where is this within me so I can collapse it so that I don't have to see it anymore, right? That's the first part. We know that. But in that moment, it's not going to help you to say, oh my gosh, this is an external reflection of the internal, because it's gone way past that now. This is a reflection of the collective that we are.
Yeah. Well, that's the gift, in one respect, that's the gift of looking at these headlines and these false flag propaganda frequencies or whatever it may be. Because if nothing else, and if we do approach it that way, it's a gift to move us to look at where it is within ourselves. Because, like you said, there's only one. I mean, it's us. We can't. You know what I mean? I mean, it is a gift. I hadn't thought about that, and rightfully so, because look, we've done this. Many of us done this and still do this on an individual level. We've had to deal with, what did you say earlier? Face head on. And why wouldn't we see that in our shared experience? It only makes sense. I mean,
Yeah,
but we've also transformed.
yeah.
And
We're
if we've
constantly
set we've set an energetic pattern down, a new refining energetic pattern, then I've got faith, that's going to carry over. There was a guy on last Friday. I say a guy, he's a friend. Eric Stephen Rankin. He's kind of partners with Jen Reynolds,
yeah.
and he's been on Ancient Aliens and Gaia TV. But so he came on and did a show last week where he basically role played. It was his way of channeling,
I
because he
saw
has
that. Yes,
okay,
I
yeah.
saw.
So you remember he was talking about, as he was channeling Ashtar, he was saying we've done this before, and he was talking in the way David Icke did yesterday about no charge. Like knowledge is not negative or positive; it's just knowledge to create a new, And anyway, he was saying that the difference between what let's say what runs we've had before, be it Atlantis, Lemuria, or whatever, and where we're at now, is that we actually have the potential to not go the way it went before. We
Yeah.
actually have the potential to break through.
Mm.
And where in the other runs that we had, the the choice was made, I guess, collectively to reset.
Yeah.
Like, you try, but reset it. That this time we're, his words, on the precipice of being able to break through. And
Yeah.
I think that I believe that's true.
We are
Um,
right on that precipice right now, every single one of us. And there's, there's a part, there's always been things that have been very helpful for us, even even for me, I guess. Not that I've ever used the word within myself of ascension, but I
mhm.
know that for others, some of it is quite helpful, because um, you've got these stages that you have to go through to ascend, which we did go on that pathway of ascension, and we went through this Christed consciousness, and we went through all this divine stuff, and then we ascended, and then, we communicate with our ascended selves on that particular time-space coordinate. And it was helpful at that time, and we've done that, and that's great. And now we're really in our own driver's seat. And so um, all those old concepts and stages are part of those systems of programming.
Yeah,
They're all still part of that. So yeah, it's just all about you, and you are that. You don't need to go through stages to get there. Put yourself in your own stages, if you like to use the word stages. We
yeah,
actually just flow. It's just our own nature to flow
yeah,
spontaneously. And so just taking our power right back to here.
yeah, yeah. Your sister over here gave a hell of a channeling at 4 o'clock in the morning last night that she didn't remember hardly. But it'll come back in to both of us. But I remember to what you were saying about flow. So the the, the channel was in regard, and I'm putting in my words, but in regard to signs that you were in that you were playing in that polarity, off the 0 point, which were words like superiority and inferiority, um, you know, uh, doormat, um, dominant, all these different words, right? And as she went on, it was just so eloquent too, man. It was just like boom, 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 boom. She said, until we get to a space of of basically no choice, because there's no choice to be made. That to me was like, that's the word that jumped out at 5 o'clock in the morning, was flow. Like, that's flow. Like, that's, how do you really describe that? But I mean, that's what I see, where we're potentially able to get to. That's the breakthrough to me. Like, being that consciousness in the physical body. We,
Yes.
we,
And it's
we,
in the body. Don't get out of the body. Don't need
mm,
to lose the mind either,
mm,
or the ego. It's what you do with that. Once again, it's how you react to that, how you respond to that. Yeah. So it's
mm,
not a bad thing, and it can be a bad thing if you react to it
mm.
in that superiority kind of thing. And then on both sides, you've got this sort of superiority that happens.
Yeah,
There's a fine line between that that frequency of what we call ego and the frequency of what is sovereignty in it. It's a fine line, but there's a hell of a frequency difference.
yeah, yeah.
Right?
Well, we just saw this.
One's got nothing behind it, but it's a healthy ego
Yeah.
will allow you to converse with others,
Mhm.
will allow you to express yourself freely, artistically, So there's great things in that. But yeah, so all that old stuff that we got told is everything was wrong with us,
Yeah.
everything was wrong, and we had to get rid of everything. Now you've got to kill the human off, and in this human in here, we're bringing all of you here in this body, all of
Mm,
it, into the human body
mm.
in this moment. This is everything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point too about the freedom thing, the sovereignty thing, because obviously there's been a lot of expressions and otherwise in that's been the big word, right? Sovereignty, freedom. But at the point where I like what you said, because like at the point where what you're going to put blinders on, which is we like you said we have all this stuff that was programmed in us, something's wrong with us. Now I'm in this lane that I think is the 0 point because of my ego, and I'm actually in a superior,
Yes.
special driving lane. And out here are all the people that something's wrong with them, but not me anymore. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like, it's almost like this has to happen anyway, so we can
Mhm.
kind of get to
Yeah.
this place of true sovereignty. And I like your example because I love examples where they're like, like real time human stuff. So I can have a healthy ego, which I know I do. Okay, I mean, and I'm not saying it's all good all the time, but I'm just saying I have that. But what you're saying is we can have a conversation, and I can still respect you. I can listen to you. Doesn't mean my ego is going to take a beating. You know what I mean? And I can still have my conviction, but I can actually go down that path. That's a path of growth. That's a path of transformation and new beginnings. To be able to allow the space for something that's not seemingly in alignment with you and have a discussion to build a higher ground. That's a great example that you gave. Hmm. What?
What's happening? I haven't
I
seen
don't
the
know. I just got this image in my head. Kind of. Why did you read my mind or what? Wait, I'll pull it back up. It's you actually, or a version of you. Got this weird thing on the back of your head. It's like a cone, but it's not up. It's back, and it's rainbow colored like pastels.
Well, we are multi-dimensional, you know.
That's right.
We're everywhere.
I just saw
And
that word up here. Oh, that was Morgan. I just saw the word when you said a multidimensional. She says the 3D human was always a multi-dimensional being. We remember all those perfect aspects as perfect and belonging. We realign with the wholeness and oneness of self. Yeah,
yeah,
man.
it's all just, you know, I was going to say the word it's all perfect, but then we take that in the wrong concept
Yeah,
as well,
yeah,
because then a lot of people strive to be perfect,
yeah.
and we're perfectly imperfect, and rightly so. And in each moment, um, we're just so spontaneous in our flow that
Mm.
it's impossible to label, apart from saying we're this force of nature. That's that says it all. It's got seasons, it's got universes, it's got this flow that just is, that permeates through everything, every movement, moving through ourselves. We're life moving through life, and we're the movement of that life, the very life force itself.
I think we should. I think one of the things I'm learning is that I feel that's happening is as we uh, as we share things, you're expanding, and especially if it's in collaboration as you share things, and the awareness itself is the transformation. It's like, and I can't explain it. Like it's not like it used to be. We still have to do work and all that. I'm not saying that, but there's something about people hearing something that they haven't considered or they haven't been open to. So as I'm sitting here watching your higher self and this gold, it's like a not a carpet, but it's rolled up like a carpet. This gold banner flowing out of your mouth as you were saying that last part. You know, these things though. And I know that's for some that might be something new. I don't think it's too big a deal for the people that watch these shows, but there's something to that. There's a reason I saw that. And I'm
Yeah.
sitting here going, am I supposed to ask her something? But I know how you're connected, so I don't think I have a role there. But I feel like I got to say it. Well, there's something in that. This is another thing I think that's happening. I've been playing with these remixes. I play your song on it. I play just people doing light language dance, hand motions and light language and poetry, just different stuff, right? And I'm noticing because there's something I was telling Morgan the other night. I realize now when I broadcast that I download, and when I download, I broadcast. It's weird. She used to tell me all the time when I would get out of bounds. She'd say, "Go get the microphone and turn on the camera," you know. So, but I'm noticing that people are picking up code from the energy of the expression, and in many cases, it's nonverbal. Like
Yeah.
light language. Light language is a perfect example. You're
Yeah.
not listening to light language and going, what does that mean? You're listening from that other part of you,
With
like
your
the heart
body.
you're talking
Yeah.
about.
With your body, with your heart.
Yes,
Your heart.
that's a
And
that's a yeah.
everything we do is infused with our frequency. So, however you choose to express in that moment, that creativity, it's all just is it's all infused with that. So, it's this is where we are now, and we're recognizing that through our own artistic expressions, we are moving each other into this beautiful
Hmm.
frequency together. You know,
Hmm.
go for the gold.
Yeah,
It's where it's
absolutely. Yeah,
at.
absolutely. I'll see you first part of February, right?
Yes.
On again. Thanks for the disclosure and the great explanation. Hang on a second. Wait a minute. I think I have something else for you. What is going on with the electronics? Oh, that's so funny. I just said that. Well, somebody asked me, do you do light language? But I know you do because you and your mother, Eleanor, the beautiful Eleanor, actually converse in light language because y'all did it on the show.
Yeah, I do light language, and rather than doing light language, I'd really like to share um, through frequency.
That's fine.
Yeah,
I'm open.
and that's what
Absolutely.
my new thing, even though it's been something I've been doing for a long time,
Yeah.
sharing this frequency. Yeah, so my website's like 5 days from going live,
Cool. What's the
and
name of it?
heartcenteredhumanity.org.
Send me the thing when
I
you go
will.
live. Send me
You
the
can
thing when you
go
go live.
there. Yeah, you can go there, and there's like the coming soon page, and
Hmm.
um, you can put in your email, and then when it goes, it'll be cool. But we're going to be doing a lot of these frequency events.
Oh, cool. Very
Yeah,
cool. I'd love to be a part of that either as a viewer or a collaborator. I mean,
yeah.
supporting it
Love
or
to
even
collaborate with you guys.
yeah, or expanding the awareness of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm all for it. I can't really, encapsulate, in a good verbal explanation of what I'm chasing here, what part of my mission is, but I know it has to do with delivering, well, the way it came to me, which is adding frequencies to an ever expanding vibration. So you're basically presenting and putting out frequency. So grabbing people's stuff off of their videos that have this frequency and then mixing them up together like a little jigsaw puzzle,
yes,
people are people are responding to it. And I'm not saying that to give myself accolades. What I'm saying is this is a representation of this expanding field of potential and this trajectory that we at a minimum have available to us. And I'm a strong believer in. I say it every day that the way that from what I get, the way this thing works is you've got to engage it. I mean, and that makes sense because how does for the sake of the discussion, how does the lower vibrational stuff work? Because we engage it. So why would it be any different with the magic and the miracle, right? We engage it. And what we're really doing is engaging ourselves
yeah.
anyway. So
Exactly.
yeah, right on. Very cool. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. And tell your mother I say hello, and please give her a third eye kiss from me. I would appreciate it. And we'd love to have her on in 2021 whenever she's ready. You
She'd
know,
love to
whether
come on. Yeah.
she does, and yeah, with you or by herself, whatever she's comfortable with, or both, because you guys are dynamite together. Yeah, it'd be interesting talking to her for an hour, one on
Yes,
one.
you would have a lot of fun there.
Oh my God, I'm still vibrating off the activation of the Black Madonna.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, she's
She's got a
powerful.
beautiful frequency
Yeah,
um,
she does.
in
Yeah,
that
she does.
space, you
Yeah,
know.
and the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. The apple doesn't fall far from the golden tree. I'll see you later. I love you.
Mwah.
Bye bye. See you.